Hey everybody, welcome to the PixelBlips podcast for February 23rd, 2014. I'm not really great at basic math, and I'm your host, Andrew Ryan. Joining me as always is co-host, Dave DeWart. Dave, gotta go fast.
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 Yep.
So Sonic, I'm just gonna do it. Sonic Boom!
Yeah, it took them forever to come up with this because, why?
I mean, it's just...
Why didn't they come up with the Sonic Boom game before, and now, why does he have a handkerchief?
A neckerchief.
And
And they all have, like, athletic tape. Like,
yeah,
they look like
they
boxers.
have their hands wrapped.
And Knuckles the Echidna has been hitting the roids.
He's massive. Holy
okay,
crap.
so two things right off the bat. First off, if you don't know, Sonic Boom is the new Sonic franchise. Franchise in air quotes. It's a new TV show. It's going to be a new couple games that will remain exclusive through their deal, which I didn't really think would. I didn't think the deal would hold mustard after Sonic and the Lost Worlds didn't do gangbusters, because I'm amazed that Sega didn't put in there like a little asterisk, like, hey,
if we don't sell X number of units, we are out of this.
We can go elsewhere. We can take this to other platforms. So it'll be exclusive to the Wii U and the 3DS.
Isn't there a TV show?
There will be a TV show.
Yeah.
So I guess that will be in syndication and available through the Wii U's video channel, which I didn't know the Wii U had a video channel like PlayStation and Xbox do, but I guess they do. So with this, Sonic Team, my friends and yours, gave up Sonic to a Western developer. The Western developer redesigned the characters. Now, I like the redesigns, and here's why.
I mean, yeah, when you think about it, like, the kind of characters that they're supposed to be, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
right?
So here's why I like the redesigns. So in Sonic 3, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles don't look that different.
They're all pretty much the same height. The only differences are like the colors of them.
The sprite is the same dimensions.
Yeah.
Same thing with Sonic CD. Amy Rose is basically the dimensions of Sonic.
That may have been a technical limitation of the Genesis, right? Like,
so now we come forward to Sonic Adventure, and once again, Knuckles, Tails,
everybody's
Amy Rose,
pretty much the same
Sonic,
size.
except for Biggs the Cat, because he sucks.
Hey! I like Biggs the Cat.
You're my Biggs the Cat. Anyway, that's going to be gift. So I was really frustrated when that happened because this didn't happen in Knuckles Chaotix. In Knuckles Chaotix, the character sprites are different dimensions because an alligator is obviously longer than an echidna, which is obviously, not as stout as a armadillo or as little as a frickin' bee. Why didn't that continue? I don't know. Because
having overly large characters on the screen with smaller characters makes a scale problem as far as like presenting them on the screen and whatever.
Which they showed a team photo of Amy Rose and Sonic and Tails and Knuckles, and it makes sense that Knuckles is bigger, maybe not as roided out as he is, but bigger than Sonic.
Well, they're all really tall.
They're a lot taller than they used to. Every single one of them is taller than they used to be.
Sonic has really long legs now.
Yes.
Really long legs. Maybe that's why he's so fast. It's not because he moves his legs fast, but because he has long strides.
Yes. And they're giving... excuse me.
But by that, Knuckles should be twice as fast because he's twice the size almost.
Well, bigger.
He's top heavy.
But they're also giving them every single one of them has a job and a personality. Like Amy Rose is now the scientist, and Tails is now the mechanic. Which I don't understand why those aren't both the same person.
Tails has always kind of been the mechanic, though.
Yeah, he always flies the plane.
Yeah, and he always, like, if you, what was it, Sonic Adventure 1 or 2, he had, like, his little island place where he had his airplane and his hangar and
Sonic
all that.
and Sonic Colors, he has the translator that translates with the wisps. By the way, Sonic Colors is an awesome game.
Really?
Yeah, now that Wii's are like $50 a pop,
Yep.
and that game you could probably find for $30. That game is, if you like Sonic games, that game is worth $80. Like, they stopped making Sonic Episode 4 to like finish Sonic Colors and to work on the next Wii game, which eventually became Lost World for the Wii U. But everything I liked about Sonic 4 Episode 1 and 2, is continued in Sonic colors. With like the things I like about Sonic Generations, where it kind of cuts between 3D Sonic and 2D Sonic, that you can really see coming together really well in Sonic colors. Because Sonic Colors was the game they made before Generations. Yeah, they made Colors, then they made Generations, then they made Lost World. So I just remember that. But I like the fact that their silhouettes are now different and that they've given them each different personalities.
Yeah.
The Sonic furry sexual fan art people are very upset, but...
Well, they shouldn't be, because now Tails is like junk height with Knuckles. Have you seen that? Like, I already saw that Reddit post. It's like, that was a design decision faux pas. They shouldn't have done that.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, man. Sonic? Why Sonic?
Why? Because
why is
internet.
Sonic? Yeah, why is Sonic the one?
What is
why
it,
not
rule-
Bubsy? Bubsy
rule-
sucks. Bubsy should be the sexual fetishist.
Isn't it Rule 32? If it exists, there's porn of it. No exceptions.
So
Yeah.
I'm excited for. I'm not going to buy a Wii U. I'm still on the fence about whether or not I'll buy a 2DS. Like every once in a while, I still pop into eBay and Craigslist and see if I can get like a 2DS for $70. But I like my Vita enough that the 3DS would just end up being a system to play 3DS and DS games on.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be my portable of choice.
It would be my Vita's dead and I'm sitting in bed feeling like crap.
It would be like my Game Boy is now.
Yeah.
It would be like, I want to play Dragon Quest, I want to play Pokemon, go to the Game Boy, but the Vita has a spot in my man bag.
Yeah. Well, and you have the Game Boy thing for your GameCube, so you really don't need it.
But it doesn't play DS games, so...
Unfortunately.
There's the thing. Also, we had a Nintendo Direct 2 weeks ago.
We did.
Yes, and they announced that Game Boy Advance games are coming to the Wii U, which to me was just like... Wait, what?
Wait, do we have to rebuy them?
Yes, we do, actually. They haven't had Game Boy Advance games on the store before unless you were part of the 3DS Ambassador program. And if you've had the 3DS Ambassador program, you got those Game Boy Advance games for your 3DS. If you want to play those Game Boy Advance games on your Wii U, you have to rebuy them.
Yep. Sad face. I don't know what Nintendo is doing with their online network play.
I was joking around with someone online. I was like, man, I bet Sony's just kicking itself in the tail for leaving all that money on the table for these people that will obviously buy the same game 8 times.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's also a really good value. I mean, you buy Final Fantasy VII for $10, you can play it on your Vita, your PSP, your PS3, and hopefully in the not-so-distant future, your PS4.
Do I have to explain to you what sarcasm is?
No.
Okay, because I was being sarcastic when I said that Sony is probably kicking themselves.
But no, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
So bringing GBA games to the Wii U and whatever. Little Mac and Punch-Out, good stuff.
Yeah.
I think he deserves to be
that totally
Smash
makes
Brothers.
sense, right?
Yeah.
Like Nintendo, one of Nintendo's core fighters from back in the day.
Yeah, core franchises. He makes a lot more sense than Mega Man to be in Smash Brothers, to me.
No, Mega Man has a place. I mean, Mega Man helped build the Nintendo legacy. But
time out. Not that Mega Man doesn't belong in Smash Brothers. Not that he doesn't have a place in the roster. Little Mac has more of a place in the roster.
Yes.
More belongs.
Yeah, that's a first-party Nintendo character versus Mega Man as a Capcom character.
Yes. I really hope that...
But what the hell's Capcom doing with Mega Man anyway?
Yeah, I really hope that Little Mac's Super Smash is Doc comes through on the bike and runs over everybody, and then Little Mac in the pink jumpsuit running after him.
Yeah.
I was like, if that's your Super Smash, I'm down. I'm down, Nintendo.
Or also, for some reason, Mike Tyson shows up and just uppercuts somebody
Little
off the
Mac
screen.
has more of a space in Smash Brothers than the Wii Fit person or the Animal Crossing person. The
villager is sadistic looking.
Don't they have the Mii in?
I think there is a Mii of some sort.
A Mii in Smash Brothers.
I mean, you think about it. Everybody who owns a Wii and a Wii U has a Mii. So the Mii character would just be your Mii character in the game.
So my question is Sonic in this one? No, he's not. He was in Brawl. He's supposedly not going to be in Super Smash. Oh, is he?
I thought he was.
Well, if he is,
that's news to you. But I want to say he was, but I don't know actually.
Yeah, he was in Brawl. Like I was this close to buying Brawl.
So what you're saying is
Nintendo's
trying to suck Sonic into its little universe and make it theirs, but hopefully it works. But I think we'll see Sonic on everybody else's platform in a year.
Yeah, you'll see more Sonics. So, speaking of Sonic, Dave, what is your favorite Sonic game and why?
It's a real tough. It's tough for me to say because I really like Sonic Adventure. As much as a lot of people hate Sonic Adventure, I really like Sonic Adventure. But the first Sonic game
out of the city.
I don't care about the music. I don't care.
I love the music.
That whole sequence in the beginning of the game where you're running and it really like shows off what the Dreamcast.
And the whale comes up.
And the whale is jumping over you, and you got all the water and all that.
Oh,
that was like
Rush Out of the City was in Sonic Adventure 2. Sorry.
Yeah, which I could totally see why you don't like that game.
I do. Well,
it's not as good.
My problem with the Sonic Adventure series is they're really good games when you're 3D Sonic. When the mission calls for you to be 3D Sonic. Mm-hmm. The minute it says you have to be Knuckles or Tails
or whatever.
Or what's the bat's name?
With
the bat with the boobs.
Never played.
The minute it tells you to be any of the other characters that are not Sonic, the level design goes to crap.
Yeah.
The game isn't fun. You can tell they were like, okay, we got to make these Sonic levels pitch perfect.
Yeah, the Sonic levels have to be awesome, but
that and Sonic Adventure always gets that one little thing in me that's like, you must collect 100 rings per level.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to do that in Sonic Adventure, where it's not really hard to do that in any other Sonic game.
Well, it's because you have to look everywhere instead of just left and right.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to say, I would have to say Sonic and Knuckles with Sonic 3, where you actually...
Why?
Because it's a long freaking game, and...
So who made you make that decision?
Nobody.
Yeah, it's weird. Fucker. It's odd that like
we both
the
like
man that doesn't that didn't play Sonic religiously when he was a kid, like this guy did.
Would you rather me have said Sonic 1?
Sonic 1's viable. Sonic CD is a viable answer.
I never played Sonic CD.
Sonic 2 is a viable answer.
I mean, Sonic 2 is
probably the only not viable answer from early Sonic games is Knuckles Chaotix. And any of the spin-off games, like Mean Bean Machine, Spinball.
Spinball wasn't bad.
No,
I mean, if you liked pinball, Spinball wasn't
If you like
bad.
digital pinball, Spinball's really good, but some people don't like digital pinball.
No.
It's also not the best pinball game on the Genesis. The best pinball game on the Genesis is Dragon's Fury. I love that game.
I'm sorry I took yours.
Yeah, Q.
But I mean, you got to say, like, in that one in particular, like in Sonic.
So more than Sonic Adventure.
Yeah, because I played it a lot more, and you could play that game. You could play that game with Tails, Sonic and Tails, just Sonic, just Knuckles. Like you could play it 4 different. I mean, playing it with Sonic and Tails.
You can play Sonic 2. Sonic 2 you can play as Tails, Sonic, or Knuckles.
Yeah, you could.
If you put Sonic 2 in the Knuckles
yes,
thing.
I understand. You could play through that game, and the levels were slightly
the Tower
different.
of Power.
Yeah. You ever tried to put a Game Genie on that? It just falls over.
Yes, I have.
And it fell over so fast.
Let's see. There was another one too. There was like a action replay one that looked like this.
Yeah.
It was weird.
And then there was the modem.
Yeah, I had the modem for the Sega channel.
Yeah. So modem, game, 3.
What happened was basically when I was a kid, I lived in Chicago, which was one of the few test markets for Sega Channel. And the kid I was really good friends with had Sega Channel. When they stopped doing Sega Channel, I asked if I could trade him my copy of Kid Chameleon, which he really liked, which was always available on Sega Channel, for his Sega Channel cartridge. And he was like, okay, fine, why? I was like, I just want it. I think it's cool. And so I got the Sega Channel cartridge. I ended up years later trading it into Funkoland. So.
Aww. Which now you're just never going to be able to find that thing.
Never going to be able to find that thing. Like, that's one of those things I'm going to go on eBay for like $500.
Yeah.
Like, do you want a car or the Sega Channel modem that doesn't work?
Yeah,
I hate you for stealing money.
I'm sorry. Would you rather me have said Sonic Adventure and just left it there?
Yeah, because that's probably actually your favorite Sonic.
That's the one that I rebought on the PS3.
Yes.
I played a good 3 or 4 hours of it, but you are right. When you have to play somebody who's not Sonic, and to a lesser extent Tails, those levels go to hell.
Yeah.
And they're not as much fun.
In my mind, like, the dead stop is always the level that's in the pyramid where it doesn't auto-assign you Knuckles, but it makes it pretty clear you want to play as Knuckles. And to me, it's always just like,
But I mean, playing each of those
Smash.
levels with a different character kind of shows a different part of the story they were trying to tell.
Yeah.
So you know, what was Tails doing? Well, Sonic was running around over here. This is what Tails was doing. This is what Knuckles was doing, or
But is it Knuckles' Adventure?
No, it's not
Is
Knuckles'
it Tails' Adventure?
No, it's Sonic Adventure.
Is it Honey the Bat? I want to say it's Honey. Is it Amy Rose Adventure?
No, it's not.
No,
It's not Biggs the Cat
Sonic
Adventure either.
Adventure.
Yes. Well. So what was your favorite part of Sonic 3 plus Knuckles?
That's just the best one. I mean,
Yeah, it really
the
is.
music is awesome. Whether or not you believe the urban legend that it's all Michael Jackson music, I happen to believe it. Because like I've watched the YouTube
very
video
convincing
enough
story.
where it's like, here is the end music from Sonic 3. Here is the In Moscow song from Michael Jackson. Here is them both beat assigned and laid over one another. You can hear it's the same damn song.
You know what I liked about
That
it?
and that backbeat from Ice Cap Zone.
Yeah.
Do 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 do
Yeah.
do 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 do. It's just like ah.
Yeah, it was,
Like the snowboarding part was cool.
That was
Like,
really, really cool.
Like was during a time where like the Genesis just did a lot of stupid crap like that. That was basically, yeah, it's the exact same as a normal level, but you're on a snowboard and you're outrunning an avalanche.
you're outrunning a line.
I immediately think of Shinobi 3 on the rocket-powered surfboard.
Because why not?
They were like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. Part of what I really liked about Sonic 3 plus Knuckles was the level select. Like, if you
Yes.
wanted to go back in and do all this, and you had to get not one but two sets of Chaos Emeralds.
Like, if you wanted to, my favorite thing was what the level select is if you got to a part that you couldn't go any further and was just driving you nuts, go back to an earlier level and just grind up either through points, either through finding the one-ups, or getting the rings, or going through the bonus levels, just grind out some one-ups.
Yeah. And it got to the point where, like, you got to the last level, you had, 80 extra lives.
Yes.
Especially if you were decent at the game.
I also liked, man, now I'm stuck in because the minute I said the level that you get stuck in and die all the time, immediately I get taken back to Sonic 2. The oil derrick zone, oil driller, whatever it is, the second to last. Wait, no.
I know what you're talking about.
1, 2, 3. Third to last zone. Remember that freak October snowstorm where all the trees died and everything?
And everybody got snowed in for a week?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only time I've beaten that level. Well, as a kid, but now as an adult, I could probably play Sonic 2 with my eyes closed, but
Yeah. Hold right.
the thing I like about Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles is that you can, for the first time, you can tell that they were one game.
Yeah. They were totally supposed to have been released that way, but development cycles and cartridge
Time
limitations
and
and
getting
things like that.
and the money and getting it out for the Christmas season, even though I
That
think
year.
both of them launched in February. It's one of those things like you can just, even with DLC packs now, it's always kind of like,
It feels tacked on.
Feels tacked on.
It's not part of the main story that they were trying to tell.
Yeah, the end of Sonic 3 feels like it's not an ending.
It's a cliffhanger.
Yes. So it's like, oh, Sonic and Knuckles.
Yep.
That and the zones in Sonic and Knuckles 3, whatever, are just so well made and so fun. I'm thinking of the Pyramid Zone, where you're riding all the running sand,
Well, I
and
still
you
like-
got to grab onto the ropes and slide around.
The first zone in Sonic and Knuckles, we're running around in the forest and
And the mushrooms?
Yeah, there's the mushrooms that you bounce off of, and the vines that'll roll out for you. Yeah, all of that stuff was just really, really
And
cool.
going I like how the levels changed from act to act. Like you're talking about that forest zone. Starts as a forest in springtime, and then you get into the deader part of the forest.
Yeah,
as
by
you're
the end of the zone, you've then rolled into the next
Yeah.
act or the next zone.
Yeah, like the boss area, or specifically Sonic 3, first zone where you start on this really lush jungle island beach.
And then by the end of it, it's all burnt up.
it's all
because of
burnt on
Robotnik.
fire and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's really cool to just
and
kind
his
of.
name is Robotnik, not Dr. Eggman. Screw you, Sega Sonic team.
But Eggman was funny.
Robotnik.
I think that was just like the nickname because he is Dr. Robotnik, but they just call him Eggman because he looks like an egg, and that was the joke. Like that's the teasing that Sonic does to Robotnik in those games. So
yeah, like to me, like that's the pinnacle of Sonic game, and like Sonic 4 is good because it harkened back to that.
Yeah.
And Sonic CD is good for a different reason. With the CD technology, they kind of opened it up and made like the first, I don't want to say open world, but like multiple path Sonic game with going to the future, going to the past, and affecting different things in the present. But man, Sonic 3 plus Knuckles is just awesome.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And you know, it's one of those games that, you know, when I was a kid, you know, when we would get stuck at school because I lived in a rural, or not a rural, in a like, well, it was a rural area.
Yeah, it was.
For high school. So when we got snowed in, and if we got more than like 2 inches of snow, we got snowed in because nobody did that. We would hang out and
show up.
Yeah, we would just hang out and play freaking Sonic or whatever throughout, you know, those days, and it was awesome.
Man, I just remember like third grade was nothing but Sonic 2. Like that Christmas, we got Sonic. This is to show you how 90s I was.
Yeah.
We got Sonic 2 and Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the one where you have to move the cursor
You just
around.
have the little reticle. It's like the arcade port.
Like the arcade port.
I had
which
that
is
game.
still awesome. I love that game. You have that game?
I had that game at one point.
Oh, I have that game.
it's
I had to
like
rebuy it.
what was the Aerosmith one? Same thing.
Revolution X.
Yeah.
Same type of game. I'm pissed. I bought a Justifier thinking that it would work with the Justifier, and it doesn't.
No.
So I have this nice neon blue, dirty, hairy Magnum gun in my that I can't
It's
really
only
use
used with lethal enforcers.
Yeah, can't really use for anything because I don't have lethal enforcers. Although now that I think about it, I do have lethal enforcers because there was a Sega CD version of that, and I have an ass load of bootleg Sega CD games.
So there you go.
Which probably includes lethal enforcers. Anywho, and we got those because you could play 2-player, and my brother and I spent so much time racing in Sonic 2.
Oh yeah, because there was a multiplayer.
Yeah, split screen racer.
It wasn't particularly great, but it was all right. Like, and you could do the main story 2-player too. One person would just be playing Tails, and it was a great way to like completely skip the majority of a level if you wanted to. Just grab on and go.
Yep. Let's see. Going back, let's see. Obviously, Sonic was the reason I wanted a Sega. Because I told him, I want the one with Sonic. That's why I ended up being a Sega kid and not a Super Nintendo kid.
And that was kind of when games were still for kids, and they needed a big mascot, and they needed somebody to push systems.
Yep.
Nintendo had Mario, you know, Sega had the.
Like, isn't it amazing
Sonic.
that we came from an era where one game made a system?
Yeah, and now we like last week's show, one game isn't going to make a system anymore. Like, it doesn't do it. Like,
because the system does way too many things and is supposed to appeal to way too big of an audience.
Yep. So what you're saying is the internet and internet connectivity is what kills new systems, and it is bad for gaming? Is that what you're telling me?
The internet ruins my nostalgia. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Well, that and furries.
Man, that's the other thing too. Like, dude, do not Google Sonic fan art. Just don't do it.
It's bad times. Very, very bad times.
But so when Sonic 3 came out, I must have rented that like 8 times.
Oh yeah.
And I remember I only bought Sonic 3. I only ended up getting Sonic 3 because my mom wouldn't let me rent Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic 3 so I could play the full game.
Yeah, you can only get one and not the other.
Yes. So I told my mom, I was like, but I need both of them. And she's like, well, maybe if you save up your allowance. And I ended up saving up my allowance for like 3 weeks of mowing the yard in the middle of the summer and like going and getting Sonic 3.
Yep.
So I could play the whole game when we rented it.
Yep. I think I got it for Christmas one year, but having younger siblings helped a lot because they could be like, oh, well, all of you like this, so here, boom. It's easier to justify buying stuff like that for them.
Yeah, I was the youngest kid. So that's the thing. So fast forward a few years, and like I have my PlayStation 2. I'm in college. You know, it's Christmas time, and you know, what am I putting on my list? You know, Dragon Quest VIII, Final Fantasy, whatever was out at that time.
I think it was 10.
I might have already had
10 or 12.
You know, but underneath that was Sonic Mega Collection, Sonic Riders.
Oh, the Genesis Collect. Yeah.
I even put Shadow the Hedgehog on my Christmas list. Yes.
Oh.
Well, Shadow the Hedgehog, if you like Sonic Adventure, Shadow the Hedgehog is not a bad game.
Maybe. Maybe.
It goes to a weird place. A gun-toting gangster place.
Aww. That sounds like a really bad fanfic thing.
But like I was upset that like Sonic Mega Collection, like you have to then unlock Sonic and Knuckles 3 and Knuckles and Sonic 2. Like you can't just lock them in.
Oh, are you talking the Genesis collection, like the one that's out for the no?
Excuse me.
Unprofessional.
Sorry, yeah,
I've been doing it too, so it's
I gotta get more sleep.
I gotta get something to eat.
Yeah, gotta get something to eat. So there's Sonic Collection. So we have on the PlayStation 2, you had Sonic Collection.
Oh, okay.
Like Mega Plus, which was originally on the GameCube, but when they brought it over to the PS2, they added in, I think, a bunch of Game Gear games, which you can still only play on those systems. So, I mean, I have the Game Gear titles because Sonic.
Yeah, and you got really lucky.
Yes.
At
Well, I've bought a lot of Sonic Tales games since then. I'm trying to find Tails Adventure, which is like Tails is it's a Sonic game, but you play as Tails. But it's set up kind of like Buster's Hidden Treasure on Sega, where it's really just these big Super Mario World type levels.
Yeah.
You're not meant to run fast through.
You're just supposed to explore and do all that. Okay.
But it's also hard to find because it came out tail end of Tails.
Yeah.
It came out at the tail end of the Game Gear's life cycle. So anyway, so they had that, and then they had Sonic Gems Collection, which had other stuff on it, more Game Gear titles, was more correct, and that was like immediately sold in like bargain bins and stuff. And then on the PS3, you have Sonic's Mega Collection, which doesn't hardly have any Game Gear titles in it at all. Well, take that back. Between those, you had the Genesis Collection, which had a few Sonic games in it, not all of them. Had Phantasy Star, 1 through 4 unlockables. That's the one I let you borrow on the Vita. I mean, on the PSP.
I'm thinking about buying it again just so I can have it.
I might have it on the Vita. I might have gotten an unlock code for that.
I still have like $50 on my PSN, so I might.
Because I went crazy one day because they had a sale on all those PS Vita collection, PSP collections. So I got that. I went back and rebought stuff. I might have it. Let me check. Anywho, so then on the flip side, now you have like what I would consider not the best, but the best you're going to get value-wise is the Sonic's Sega Genesis Collection, which has a bunch of them, plus a bunch of Game Gear games. Not all the ones that are on the Sonic Mega Collection, but has a bunch of them. I still go back to that Mega Collection is probably my favorite. Like, if you are a Sonic fan and you don't care about the other shit, that's the one you want. Even though I think it has the Ooze and Comics Zone in it, which were both also not by Sonic Team, but Sonic Team had this thing where they would go get young developers from Japan and from the United States, and that's where Rez came from. Was like, I think it's called like the Sega Technical Institute or something.
It's kind of like what Nintendo does.
Has a super boring ass name.
Yeah.
I don't think it's around anymore because Sega's just not making those games anymore.
Nope.
But if you really are a Sonic fan and you're really a freaking purist and you really want these games, buy a 3DS, because the people in control of making the Sonic ports for the 3DS are called M2, and they are the best developer for these retro collections. So like if you really want to go real old school, there's a Sonic collection for the Saturn called Sonic...
Don't know.
Something. And it has all these old ones in it. And they actually went back and added the Spin Dash to Sonic 1.
Ooh.
So the guys at M2 went to... the designer of Sonic, which went back and added this in, and they said, "How'd you do it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's super easy." And he actually went over and coded it for them. And he goes, "But it basically breaks the game, so you need to put an option in to turn it on and off."
Oh,
because
really?
the Sonic 1's not designed for you to be able to do that.
No.
Like if you think about the design of Sonic 1,
it was
there's a lot of
Mario platformer.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas where it's big loops and stuff, and but when you think about Sonic 1, there are levels that are more vertical.
Yeah, they are.
Whereas in Sonic 2, most levels are horizontal.
Yeah, because you're trying to go fast.
Even the casino level with its big vertical slot machines.
Like a huge level.
Yeah, is still basically horizontal. Sonic 1's not like that. The Spin Dash creates a huge problem for it.
Yeah.
So anyway, the guys at M2 are people that really care about these old games and do a really great job of porting these old games. They were in charge of the Sega Ages collection that we did not get here in the States, where they went back and found like crazy like their Golden Axe collection is one of the few places you can find the Return of Death Adder, the arcade Golden Axe.
Okay.
Anything about it. Because it was never got a console port. Like when the new Sonic collection comes out for the PS4, I'm going to be like, line in the sand, you guys got to have that.
Put this in here.
Yeah, like I'm hoping the Sonic collection for the PS4 has 32X games or Saturn games. You know,
yeah, that'd be nice because I mean,
goes further.
There's all kinds of stuff that you're never going to play just because the 32X never got really popular and the Saturn never really panned out for Sega. Like,
yeah, it's really hard to find
collections,
these games.
These Sega consoles that aren't the Dreamcast and aren't the Genesis are just kind of like,
you
lost
think about,
to time.
You think about the Sega Ages collection for the Dreamcast that came out here wasn't published by Sega. It was published by Working Designs.
Yeah.
So like, I want that stuff.
Yes. Wants the stuffs, all the stuffs.
So, but I don't know, with Sega getting chummy with Nintendo, I don't know how much. That might be the Wii U's killer app for me, is if they come out with Sonic's Super Collection, over 150 games.
All the Sonic games ever.
Spanning everything from the Master System and the Game Gear, all the way up through the Dreamcast. And they had, like, in that...
They could do
like,
it. I mean,
like,
pretty good format size on that disc.
What do you think about the Blu-ray? Like, in my mind, they would have, like, Space Channel, all the Space Channel games with, like, archival stuff for Space Channel. Not Gran Turismo. Jet Set Radio with archival stuff for Jet Set Radio, you know, including, like, an option to turn on and off widescreen.
Yeah.
Same thing with, like, the Sonic Adventure collections. You know, they would even go, like, it would include Shinobi, was it Shinobi Armies was for the Saturn? It would include stuff like that, like
or Shenmue.
Yes, it would include Shenmue and Shenmue 2.
Shenmue.
In fact, I would buy right now, Sega, if you're watching, which you're not. Although you do have an odd thing about these, I would pay you $60 for not even HDified, but like
a Shenmue collection,
basic port of Shenmue 1 and 2 on a disc.
For PS3 or PS4.
And you don't even have to include the language packs. It can just be the English language pack by default. I would, $60, here you go. Likewise, I would pay you $60 for Shining Force 1, 2, 3, 4, Shining Force CD, and Shining Force on the Saturn. Like a Shining Force collection. I know you guys have these because you've made them already for Japan. So
please translate, send over.
Yes. But I would pay them $60 for a game where they said, this is every Sonic game up through the end of the PlayStation 2.
That'd be cool.
Like, this is every Sonic game, including, you know, Sonic and the Ring, what was it? Sonic and the Five Rings and the Genie and the Black Knight.
Yeah.
Sonic and the Five Rings.
I kind of lost it with
that was the first Wii. That was the first Wii game, and then the Black Knight was the second Wii game where it's basically on rails.
Yeah. It's not on rails.
They were like, here's everyone up to Sonic Colors. Yeah, I would pay you guys for that, $60. Like, to be able to go all the way back into Sonic history and to play that first Master System title, which Sonic the Hedgehog came out in the Genesis, and they made a Master System version for it, because the Master System is basically just the Game Gear version, and they knew if they made a Game Gear version, the Master System version of it, it'd be easy to port to the Game Gear. So it came, Sonic the Hedgehog for the Master System came out after Sonic the Hedgehog for the Genesis.
Yes.
But there was a bunch of ones for the Master System. I would like to be able to go back and play all those games, even though they're not great, to just have them as an archival thing.
Yeah.
Be really good. Which we talked about this before on our video game collection, our retro games collection episode, that like a lot of these times we just want these old game collections just for archival sake.
Yeah, to say, hey, we have these in some form, we can't play them. It may not be the original cartridge or whatever, but we have them and we can say, yes, I played the game,
Digital releases don't count.
Aww.
Unless they're like bundled releases. Because like the piecemeal stuff, like, I'm sorry Sega, I really like Sonic 1, 2, and 3 and Sonic & Knuckles, but they're not worth $8 on the Wii U Virtual Shop.
No, they're not. That's silly.
But like
$4 a pop probably, but
one disc, all of these things, $60 would be great. And you guys know that works because that Sonic Sega Genesis collection, whatever it was, is one of their highest selling seventh generation, I guess we're calling it seventh generation. Seventh generation games.
Huh.
Like, it outsold Sonic Colors. It outsold every Sonic Wii game. It outsold Sonic the Hedgehog, the 2006 version, of course. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Generations. It's outsold everything.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, you're getting not just your Sonic games, but you're getting just dozens of other games from the Genesis era.
Yep.
Which is it's a great value.
Yep. So in terms of Sonic Boom, I'm excited.
I want to see what it's going to become.
Yeah, I wish those games would come to a platform that I have, because I'm excited for them, but I'm not going to buy a Wii for them. Same thing with the Mario 3D Land. I'm excited for it, but I'm not going to buy a Wii U for it.
Yeah. No, I can't. I can't justify to my wife, hey, let's buy a Wii U just so we can play the new Mario game.
Yeah, I mean, when I have kids, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. And that's
it's good for Nintendo because they have the two powerhouse video game
franchises.
Kids franchises.
Yeah.
Mario and Sonic.
Well, and that drives the nostalgia factor, right? Like, because when we grew up on Mario and Sonic, we would want our kids to have a similar experience with that. But maybe we don't need to buy a Wii and a Wii U for that. We could just buy the collections and be like, here, play it on the PS3.
Yeah, but if you're a young kid, you're going to want, like...
the newest system.
A kid getting into the Sonic game now is getting into the Sonic game with Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations.
Yep.
You know...
Yeah.
You know, it's the type of thing like, you and I grew up on Baldur's Gate, but we've both gone back and played, or Half-Life, we've both gone back and played older PC games.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, like, the people that grew up with Final Fantasy VII go back, and they're really big fans of it, will go back and play the older Final Fantasy games. That's just the truth to all this. The kids that grew up now on Sonic Boom will go back and play the old Sonic games. Which is why I think there needs to be these archival editions, hopefully developed by M2 because they're awesome with getting the Sega Genesis emulators to work. There needs to be these archival collections. It just needs to happen. And with things like PlayStation Now, there is even more of a reason for it.
Yep.
So don't forget to spay and neuter your hopefully not furry sexualized Pokemon. Internet, you're disgusting. And we'll see you next week.